The fluorescent lights hum overhead in County General Hospital's emergency department, that particular frequency that lives just beneath consciousness, the kind that burrows into your skull after the first hour and stays there until your shift ends. The air tastes like industrial disinfectant fighting a losing battle against old blood, burnt coffee left too long in stained pots, and something sour nobody wants to identify. It's 6:47 in the morning, and the hallway stretches long and white and endless under lights that flicker just enough to notice. Dr. Sarah Chen moves through this space like she's underwater, slowly, deliberately. She pushes a crash cart down the corridor, wheels squeaking against tile that's been mopped 1,000 times but never quite comes clean. Her hands rest steady on the metal frame. Her eyes move in patterns nobody else notices, tracking exit signs, fire extinguisher placement. The precise distance from her position to Trauma Bay 2. She counts without thinking. 32 steps, 18 seconds at current pace. Behind her, Dr. Marcus Webb appears, white coat crisp and bright like armor, coffee cup in one hand, phone in the other. He doesn't slow down, just angles past her with the kind of impatience that's become his signature. "Jesus, Chen, pick up the pace," he mutters, not quite under his breath. "We've got 3 more rigs incoming and you're rolling that thing like it's made of glass." She doesn't answer. Her fingers stay wrapped around the cart handle. Her gaze remains forward. She doesn't speed up. Webb shakes his head and disappears around the corner, and in his wake, Nurse Jenna Collins leans toward a young intern whose name Chen hasn't learned yet. The intern's scrubs still look new, creases sharp from the package. "She's sweet," Jenna says, voice pitched low but not low enough. "But she's just slow, you know? I don't know how she made it through residency." The intern nods, glancing at Chen's back. Chen parks the cart in the supply alcove between Trauma 1 and Trauma 2, the space they use for equipment staging. She doesn't rush. Her hands move through the checklist her mind provides without asking. Defibrillator pads, packaging intact, gel fresh, expiration date good for another 8 months. She runs her thumb across the adhesive edge. Cables coiled correctly, no kinks, connections clean. She rotates the oxygen tank so the valve faces outward, easily accessible. Her fingers find the airway kit, and she adjusts it so the smallest endotracheal tube sits on top, the larger sizes beneath in descending order. Nobody sees her do this. Nobody notices the precision. He straightens, rolling her shoulders once, and her left wrist catches the overhead light. A bracelet circles the joint, faded paracord woven tight, frayed at the edges where time and friction have worn it thin. The clasp is small, metal, worn smooth by years of wear. It's not the kind of thing you buy at a store, not the kind of thing that comes with a price tag. Webb reappears, chart tucked under his arm now, coffee half gone. "Chen, you done playing nurse yet?" His voice carries that edge he gets when he's trying to be funny, but isn't. "We need real doctors up front." She nods once, follows him. Her sneakers make no sound on the tile. She walks with her hands loose at her sides, and if you watched closely, you'd notice she never turns her back to an open doorway. You'd notice her eyes track movement 3 rooms away. You'd notice the way she positions herself so she can see both ends of the hallway simultaneously. But nobody watches that closely. The department moves around her like water around a stone. Paramedics wheel gurneys past. Nurses call out vitals. Monitors beat and alarms sound, and someone's family member sobs in the waiting room. That particular kind of crying that comes when the worst news arrives and the world doesn't stop. Chen absorbs it all, keeps walking. Webb dumps his empty cup in the trash and pulls on gloves, snapping them against his wrists with unnecessary force. The gesture of a man who wants you to know he's working. "MVA coming in, 3 minutes out," he announces to the bay. "Chest trauma, possible internal bleeding. Let's look sharp, people." Jenna moves to prep the gurney. Chen stands near the wall, hands folded, watching. The ambulance bay doors burst open and paramedics rush in, rattling off report in that clipped cadence they use when things are bad but controlled. 42-year-old male, T-boned at an intersection, chest impact, broken ribs probable, vitals stable but deteriorating. They transfer the patient. Webb steps in, stethoscope already in his ears, listening to lung sounds while Jenna gets IV access. The man on the gurney is conscious, gasping, eyes wide with pain and fear. Diminished breath sounds on the right, Webb says. He pulls back, frowning. Get me a chest x-ray, possible pneumothorax. He orders it like he's already sure, like the x-ray is just confirmation of what he already knows. Chen stands 3 feet away, watching. The patient coughs, wet and rattling, and his skin tone shifts under the lights, pink draining toward pale gray. His oxygen saturation number drops on the monitor, slow but steady, 94, 92, 90. Chen's eyes flick to the respiratory rate, climbing on the display. Her fingers twitch at her side. For half a second, the tile beneath her feet becomes sand. The fluorescent hum turns into rotor wash. The man's face blurs into someone else, dust in a beard she remembers, shrapnel wounds she couldn't count fast enough. Voice screening words in Pashto, while her hands moved faster than thought. She blinks. The hospital returns. Tension pneumothorax, she says, quietly. Webb doesn't hear her. He's looking at the monitor, waiting for radiology. X-ray's coming, he says again, louder this time, like volume creates certainty. Chen moves. Not fast. Precise. She's beside the patient before anyone tracks the movement, her hand already on his ribcage, fingers palpating the intercostal space. Third rib, mid-clavicular line. The anatomy maps itself in her mind without effort. She reaches for the needle decompression kit from the crash cart she prepped 20 minutes ago. Whoa, Chen, what are you doing? Webb's voice spikes. She doesn't answer. Her hands unwrap the catheter, position the needle, insert it cleanly between the ribs. Angle correct, depth precise. There's a hiss. Air trapped under pressure escaping in a rush. The patient gasps, chest expanding properly now, color flooding back into his face, like someone turned a dial. The monitor climbs. Oxygen saturation rising. Respiratory rate normalizing. Webb stares at her. The bay goes quiet for 3 full seconds. Lucky guess, Webb finally mutters. He turns back to the patient, reclaiming control of the rune, and Chen steps away, hands returning to her sides. The bracelet on her wrist catches the light again as she moves. Jenna Collins watches her for a long moment, then shakes her head. Weird instinct, I guess. She says to no one in particular. Chen walks back to her position by the wall, says nothing. Her heart rate never rose. The break room is empty when Chen steps inside at 9:23 in the morning. 3 hours into her shift, the coffee pot sits half full on the warmer, burnt smell filling the small space. She pours a cup anyway, doesn't add anything, just holds it between her palms and stares at the wall. The wall is beige. It's always been beige. She blinks and sees something else. The sound starts it. A helicopter passing overhead, rotors beating heavy through the air, heading toward the rooftop helipad 3 floors up. Medical transport, probably. Routine. But the sound pulls her backward. The beige wall becomes canvas TED fabric, stained and patched. The burnt coffee becomes dust and JP8. P8 fuel and copper. The fluorescent hum becomes flies buzzing over medical waste in 115-degree heat. Her hands remember before her mind catches up. The weight of pressure dressings. The specific resistance of a chest wall under compressions. The feeling of someone's pulse disappearing beneath her fingertips while she worked and refused to stop even when the numbers flatlined. She sets the cup down, breathes. The wall is beige again. She counts backward from 10 in her head, the technique they taught her at the VA when she finally admitted she needed help. 10, 9, 8. The present returns in layers. 7, 6, 5. County General Hospital, Emergency Department. Virginia, not Afghanistan. 4, 3, 2. Safe. The door opens and Jenna walks in, pulling up short when she sees Chen standing motionless by the counter. You okay? Chen nods. Yeah, just needed a minute. Jenna grabs her water bottle from the fridge. And as she turns, her eyes catch on Chen's wrist, the bracelet. That's pretty, Jenna says. Where'd you get it? Jen's fingers touch it reflexively. A friend made it. Nice friend. Chen doesn't answer. Jenna leaves and Chen stays another 30 seconds, finishing the coffee she doesn't want, grounding herself in the bitterness of it. Then she returns to the floor. The morning continues. Routine cases. A kid with a broken arm from gym class. An elderly woman with chest pain that turns out to be anxiety. A construction worker with a nail through his boot who's more embarrassed than injured. Chen moves through them all with the same steady pace. Too slow, according to the way Webb keeps glancing at her. At 11:15, a call comes in that changes nothing and everything. Incoming, 2 minutes. 57-year-old male, syncopal episode at home. Wife reports he's been confused all morning. Vitals stable but GCS fluctuating. Webb takes it. Chen follows him into Trauma 1, standing in her usual position near the wall, hands folded, watching. The patient arrives. Older man, gray hair, still groggy. His wife hovers beside the gurney, wringing her hands, answering questions in a voice tight with worry. Webb runs through the standard workup, checks pupils, listens to the heart, palpates the abdomen, orders labs, an EKG, a CT scan. Probably vasovagal, he says confidently. We'll rule out cardiac and neuro, but my guess is he just got dehydrated and dropped his pressure. The wife nods, wanting to believe it. Chen watches the monitor. Heart rate is fine. Blood pressure is acceptable. Oxygen saturation is good. But something is wrong. She sees it in the way the man's eyes track movement, just slightly delayed. The way his hand trembles when he tries to lift it. The asymmetry in his facial expression when he attempts to smile at his wife. She steps forward. "Can you lift both arms for me?" she asks quietly. The man tries. His right arm rises smoothly. His left arm barely moves. Chen's jaw tightens. She leans closer, pulls a pen light from her pocket, checks his pupils again. Equal and reactive, but when she asks him to follow her finger, there's a lag on the left side of his visual field. "Stroke," she says. Webb looks up from the chart he's writing. "What?" "He's having a stroke. Left-sided weakness, visual field defect." Confusion. "We need a CT now and clot-busting protocol ready." Webb frowns. His vitals are stable. He's probably just post-syncopal and weak. Chen turns to face him fully. He has pronator drift and facial asymmetry. This is a CVA. The wife's breath catches. Webb hesitates, caught between his assessment and hers, and in that moment, the patient's hand spasms. His eyes roll back. The monitor alarms as his heart rate spikes and his pressure drops. Chen moves. She's at the bedside before the alarm finishes its first cycle, hand on his wrist, checking the pulse manually, because sometimes the machines lie. It tilts his head, checks his airway, grabs the oxygen mask and fits it over his face. "Get me the stroke team, now," she says, voice level but absolute. Webb stares for 1 second, then pages the stroke team. The neurologist arrives in 4 minutes, takes one look at the patient and confirms it. Ischemic stroke, how long since symptom onset? Wife says confusion started 2 hours ago. Chen answers before Webb can. Then we're still in the window. Let's move. They rush the patient to CT, then to intervention, and Chen steps back into the hallway, adrenaline still humming under her skin, but invisible on the surface. Jenna finds her 10 minutes later. "How did you know?" Jenna asks. Chen shrugs. "Pattern recognition." "That's not normal pattern recognition," Jenna says slowly. "That's something else." Chen doesn't answer. She walks back toward the trauma bays, and Jenna watches her go, something uncertain flickering across her face. In the afternoon, another case arrives. 18-year-old male, motorcycle accident, road rash, and possible concussion. Conscious, alert, vitals stable. Routine. Except when they cut his jacket off, Chen sees the abrasions across his chest and the way he's breathing. Shallow, controlled, like every breath costs him. She steps closer, presses gently on his ribcage. He gasps. "Flail chest," she says. "Paradoxical movement, segment of ribs broken free." He needs imaging and close monitoring for pulmonary contusion. Webb looks at her like she's speaking another language. "He's stable," Webb says. "He won't be in an hour if we don't catch this now." Webb orders the X-ray. It confirms what she said. And this time, when Chen steps back, Jenna is staring at her with something closer to suspicion than admiration. "Where did you train?" Jenna asks. Chen's hand touches the bracelet. "County residency program, same as everyone else." "That's not where you learned at," Jenna says quietly. Chen meets her eyes, says nothing, walks away. The shift ends at 7 p.m. Chen changes out of her scrubs in the locker room, pulls on jeans and a plain gray sweatshirt. She opens her locker and stares at the contents for a moment. A protein bar, her keys, a small photo tucked into the corner, edges worn soft. 3 men in desert camouflage, arms around each other, grinning at the camera. She doesn't take it out. Just closes the locker, leaves. The bracelet stays on her wrist, where where it's been for 12 years, where it'll stay until the day she dies. The call comes in at 11:38 a.m. on a Tuesday that starts like any other. County General's scanner crackles with the dispatcher's voice, clipped and urgent, in the way that means someone's life is balanced on a knife edge. Be advised, motor vehicle collision, ejection, pediatric patient, 12-year-old male, GCS of 6. Blood pressure 70/40 and dropping, ETA 4 minutes. The department shifts instantly. Webb straightens from the chart he's reviewing, jaw tightening. Jenna moves toward trauma 2, prepping the bay with practiced efficiency. Chen is already there, standing near the crash cart she checked an hour ago, hands loose at her sides, eyes on the ambulance bay doors, waiting. The doors explode inward. Paramedics burst through at a run, gurney rattling, one of them doing compressions as they move. The kid on the stretcher is small, too small, his body lost in the tangle of equipment and blood-soaked sheets. His face is pale as paper, lips going blue. 12-year-old male, ejected from the vehicle during rollover, found unresponsive, intubated in the field, 2 lines placed but we can't get his pressure up, lost vitals once already and got him back. They transfer him to the hospital gurney. The team swarms. Webb takes position at the head of the bed, and for half a second, Chen sees it. The fractional hesitation, the way his hands pause before reaching for the stethoscope. It's barely a breath, barely a moment, but she sees it. Get me 2 large-bore IVs, type and cross-match for 6 units. Activate the massive transfusion protocol now. Webb's voice is sharp, commanding, but his hands fumble slightly as he reaches for the ultrasound probe. The monitor screams, blood pressure dropping, 60/35. He's circling the drain, one of the nurses says, voice tight. Webb moves to establish a femoral line for better access. Anne's working fast but not quite fast enough. He positions the needle, advances it, misses the vessel. Damn it! He withdraws, resets, tries again. Misses again. Blood wells around the insertion site, and the kid's pressure drops further. 58/30. The alarm pitch changes, more insistent now, the sound every medical professional learns to hate. Come on, come on, Webb mutters. Chen moves. No announcement, no request for permission, she's simply beside him, her hand already reaching for a fresh IV kit from the cart, fingers moving through the packaging with fluid precision. She doesn't push Webb aside, just occupies the space next to him, and her presence is so calm, so absolutely certain, that he shifts without thinking. She finds the femoral pulse with 2 fingers, palpates the anatomy, slides the catheter in on the first attempt, smooth and clean, threading it until she feels the give that means she's in the vessel. Blood flashes back. She advances it fully and secures it. Start fluids wide open, she says. Her voice is quiet, but it carries command like a tuning fork carries pitch. Jenna responds instantly, hanging the bags, opening the lines. Chen reaches for the ultrasound probe Webb dropped, wipes it clean, and runs it across the kid's abdomen. Her eyes stay fixed on the screen, tracking through the 4 quadrants methodically. Right upper, left upper, right lower, left lower. She stops. Free fluid in Morrison's pouch, she says. Splenic laceration, probably grade 4 based on the volume. He needs surgery now. Webb stares at her. How did you call the OR? It's not a suggestion. Webb opens his mouth, closes it, and for a moment the entire room balances on the edge of hierarchy and instinct. Then Chen turns to Jenna. Page trauma surgery. Tell them we're coming up in 2 minutes. If they're not ready, we're coming anyway. Jenna doesn't hesitate. She picks up the phone. Webb finds his voice. Chen, you can't just... He's got maybe 5 minutes before he bleeds out. Chen interrupts. Still calm, still quiet. We don't have time to argue. She turns back to the kid, checking the IV lines, adjusting the fluid rate, scanning the monitor with eyes that absorb every number, every waveform, every detail that matters. The kid's pressure ticks up, barely. 62/38. Not enough, but better. Chen pulls the stethoscope from around Webb's neck without asking, listens to the lungs, checks the breath sounds. Clear on the right, diminished on the left but moving air. The intubation is good. She checks the tube placement visually, confirms the depth marking, nods once. Airways secure. We need to move. The trauma surgeon arrives, still tying his surgical mask, eyes sweeping the scene. Talk to me. 12-year-old male, ejected MVC, GCS 6 in the field. Hypotensive with grade 4 splenic lac and about a liter of free fluid in the abdomen. Intubated, 2 lines running, pressures barely holding. The surgeon looks at Chen, then at Webb, then back to Chen. You scanned him? Yes. Show me. Chen runs the ultrasound probe across the abdomen again, angling the screen so he can see. He watches for 5 seconds. Okay, let's go. They move. The gurney rushes down the hallway toward the elevator, Chen on one side maintaining the IV lines, Jenna on the other squeezing the oxygen bag manually because the portable tank is running low. Webb follows, half at step behind, still processing what just happened. They transfer the kid to the surgical team at the OR doors. The surgeon grips Chen's shoulder briefly. Good catch. Then they're gone, doors swinging shut, and the hallway goes quiet, except for the sound of 3 people breathing hard from adrenaline they can't show. Chen straightens. Her hands are steady, not a tremor. She turns and walks back toward the emergency department without a word, and Webb watches her go. Something shifting behind his eyes. Jenna stands beside him. That wasn't normal, she says quietly. Webb doesn't answer immediately. He's watching Chen disappear around the corner, watching the way she moves, the way she held that room together with nothing but competence and an authority she never raised her voice to claim. No, he finally says, it wasn't. Back in Trauma 2, they clean up the aftermath. Blood on the floor, discarded packaging, empty IV bags, the detritus of a life saved by seconds. Chen helps without speaking. Her hands move through the familiar motions, wiping down surfaces, restocking supplies, resetting the space for the next emergency that will inevitably come. Jenna works beside her. Where did you learn to move like that? Jenna asks. Chen doesn't look up. Practice. That's not practice. That's... Jenna stops, searching for words. That's combat medicine. Chen's hands still for just a fraction of a second. Then, resume. I trained in a busy program, she says evenly. Jenna watches her, looks down at the bracelet on Chen's wrist, the frayed paracord that's clearly seen years of wear, and something clicks into place behind her eyes. Not the full picture, just a piece of it, but enough to make her stop asking questions, for now. Chen finishes restocking the cart, checks the defibrillator one more time, and walks out of the trauma bay. Behind her, Webb stands in the doorway, chart forgotten in his hands, staring after her with an expression somewhere between confusion and the first stirrings of respect. He doesn't know what he just witnessed, but he knows it was something beyond his understanding, something earned in a place he's never been. Chen rounds the corner and leans against the wall for just a moment, eyes closed, breathing carefully. In her mind, the kid's face blurs into other faces, younger ones. Ones she couldn't save, no matter how fast she moved or how hard she fought. She opens her eyes. The hospital comes back. She pushes off the wall, keeps walking. The bracelet stays on her wrist. The hallway outside Trauma 2 is nearly empty at 12:03 p.m. The usual chaos temporarily settled into an uneasy quiet. Chen stands near the supply closet, updating the inventory sheet on a clipboard, checking medication levels with the same methodical focus she brings to everything. Behind her, footsteps approach, heavy, uneven. She doesn't turn. Doc? The voice stops her pen mid-stroke. Nail, older, roughened by years and cigarettes and things she doesn't want to remember. She doesn't move. Doc Chen? There's a question in it now. Uncertainty threading through recognition. She closes her eyes for half a second, then turns slowly. The man standing 15 feet away is in his 40s, gray threading through a high and tight haircut that's grown out just enough to show he's been civilian for a while. He wears a faded Marine Corps t-shirt under a canvas jacket, jeans worn soft at the knees. His right leg ends just below the knee, prosthetic visible where the pant leg doesn't quite cover it. His eyes lock onto hers, and she sees the moment he knows. Holy shit, he whispers. It is you. Chen's jaw tightens. Her hands grip the clipboard. You've got the wrong person. Bullshit. He steps closer, limping slightly, the prosthetic clicking softly against the tile. His eyes never leave her face, scanning like he's cross-referencing memory against reality and finding. Ding perfect matches. Helmand Province, 2011. Route clearance patrol hit an IED on the way back from a village op. I lost my leg and about half my blood volume in the first 30 seconds. Chen's breathing changes, shallower, more controlled. You were the one who put a tourniquet on me with one hand while you worked on Corporal Hayes with the other. His voice drops, thick with emotion he's not trying to hide. You told me to look at the sky, not the blood. You said, stay with me, Marine. So I stayed. The clipboard slips from Chen's fingers, hits the floor. Neither of them looks at it. Down the hallway, Jenna Collins emerges from the medication room, slowing when she sees them, watching. Webb rounds the corner from the opposite direction, chart in hand, and stops mid-step when he registers the tension in the air. Chen's hands curl into fists at her sides. That was a long time ago. 12 years, the man agrees. But I remember every second of it. You kept talking to me the whole way to the helicopter, kept telling me what you were doing, why it was going to be okay. Your voice was the only thing keeping me from going into shock. He looks down at her wrist, at the bracelet. You still wear it. Chen's hand moves reflexively to cover it, but it's too late. Webb's voice cuts in, sharp with confusion. Wait, you were military? The Marine looks at Webb like he's something stuck to the bottom of his boot. She wasn't just military, Doc. She was a Navy lieutenant, hospital corpsman, combat medic. He turns back to Chen. Attached to 1st Battalion, 6th Marines. We called her immortal because she kept pulling people back from the dead when everyone else had given up. Jenna's mouth falls open. Webb stares like the world just inverted. Chen takes a step back. I'm not her anymore. Like hell you're not, the Marine says, voice firm but not unkind. I just watched you save that kid the exact same way you saved me. Same moves, same eyes, same refusal to let death win. Chen shakes her head. My name is Sarah Chen. I'm a resident physician, that's all. Your name wasn't Chen. The Marine's voice is quiet now, but it carries. It was Malik, Lieutenant Sarah Malik. The hallway goes completely silent. Even the distant sound of monitors seems to fade. Chen's face goes carefully blank, the kind of neutral that takes effort to maintain. I changed it, she says finally, after I left. Why? She doesn't answer. Webb finds his voice, though it's smaller than usual. You were a combat medic? The Marine answers before Chen can. Best in the province. Maybe the best I ever saw. She did 2 tours, saved more Marines than I can count. But a Bronze Star and a Navy Commendation Medal with Valor Device. They wanted to promote her, make her an instructor, but she... That's enough, Chen cuts in. Her voice is still quiet, but there's steel underneath. The Marine stops, looks at her with something like understanding. You disappeared, he says softly. Finished your tour and just vanished. Some of us tried to find you. Thank you, properly. I didn't want to be found. I can see that. Silence stretches between them. Jenna steps closer, unable to help herself. You were in Afghanistan? Chen doesn't look at her. Yes. For how long? 2 tours. 16 months total. Webb shakes his head slowly, recalibrating everything he thought he knew. And you never mentioned this because... Chen finally meets his eyes. Because I wanted to leave it behind. The Marine shifts his weight, and the prosthetic clicks again. Some of us don't get that option, Doc. Chen flinches, just slightly, but it's there. I know, she says. I'm sorry. Don't be. He smiles, small and genuine. I'm alive because of you. Got a wife now, 2 kids. I coach Little League. None of that happens if you don't keep me breathing long enough to get to surgery. Urgery. He extends his hand. Name's Derek Santos, in case you don't remember. I remember, Chen says quietly. She takes his hand. They shake once, and there's weight in it. History neither of them has words for. Santos releases her hand and glances at Webb and Jenna. Whatever you're paying her, it's not enough. He nods to Chen one more time. Thank you, Doc. For then. And for now. Because I saw what you did with that kid. He taps his chest, over his heart. Some of us never stop serving, do we? Chen's throat works. She doesn't answer. Santos turns and walks away, prosthetic and boot creating an uneven rhythm on the tile, and the 3 of them watch until he disappears around the corner toward the exit. The silence that follows is suffocating. Jenna is the first to break it. Lieutenant? Chen picks up the clipboard from the floor. It was a long time ago. That doesn't make it less true, Webb says, and there's something different in his voice now. Not quite respect yet, but the edges of it forming. Chen straightens, meeting his eyes. I'm the same doctor I was an hour ago. Nothing's changed. Everything's changed, Jenna says softly. Chen shakes her head. I do the work. That's all that matters. She walks past them, heading toward the staff break room, and neither of them tries to stop her. But they watch, and they wonder. Webb looks down at his hands, at the chart he's still holding, and remembers the way he fumbled the IV line while Chen placed hers on the first attempt. Remembers the way she moved through chaos like it was choreographed. Remembers calling her slow. Jesus, he mutters. Jenna's eyes haven't left the empty hallway where Chen disappeared. She's been hiding this whole time, Jenna says, barely audible. Walking among us like she's nothing special. Webb doesn't respond, just stands there, recalculating. The foundation of his assumptions cracking under the weight of new information. Down the hall, in the break room, Chen sits alone with her back against the wall, hands wrapped around a cup of water she isn't drinking. Her wrist aches where the bracelet sits, not physically, but in memory. In the weight of names she carries woven into those frayed threads. She closes her eyes. The hospital hums around her, but in her mind she hears rotors, smells dust and blood, feels sand under her boots, and knows that no matter how far she runs, some things never let you go. The scanner erupts at 1:47 p.m., tearing through the uneasy quiet that's settled over the department since Santos walked out. County General, be advised, mass casualty incident, multi-vehicle pileup on Interstate 85. Preliminary reports indicate 15 to 20 patients. Mixed severity. First units estimate ETA 10 minutes, more to follow. The department explodes into motion. Nurses grab equipment. Residents scramble for positions. Webb appears from the doctor's lounge, face already showing the edge of panic he's trying to cover with authority. Okay, people, listen up. His voice cracks slightly. We need to call in backup. We need to get OR on standby. We need... Stop. The word cuts through the chaos like a blade. Everyone turns. Chen stands in the center of the emergency department, and something fundamental has shifted in the way she occupies space. Her shoulders are squared. Her hands are loose but ready. Her eyes sweep the room with the kind of assessment that catalogs resources and weaknesses in seconds. She's not hiding anymore. We don't have time for backup, she says, voice calm and absolute. Here's what we do. She points at Jenna. Triage outside. Red tags go to trauma 1 and 2 immediately. Yellow tags hold in the hallway with monitoring. Green tags to the waiting room with a nurse assigned to watch for deterioration. Jenna nods without hesitation. Chen turns to Webb. You take trauma 1. I'll take trauma 2. We rotate teams every 3 patients. Patience to prevent fatigue errors and tunnel vision. Webb opens his mouth to argue, to reclaim authority, but something in Chen's gaze stops him. He sees it now. The combat veteran underneath the quiet exterior. The person who's done this before under conditions he can't imagine. He closes his mouth. Prep all crash carts now, Chen continues, addressing the room. Double-check airway kits. Make sure we have blood products staged and ready. If someone codes and we can't get them back in 2 minutes, you call it and move on. We save who we can save. Understand? Silence for half a breath. Then voices overlap. Clear. Got it. Moving. The department reorganizes itself around her command structure like iron filings around a magnet. Webb stares at her for one more second, then nods. Let's work. Outside, Jenna sets up the triage station, pulling colored tags from the supply kit. 2 other nurses join her. And she briefs them quickly, efficiently, using the framework Chen just provided. Inside, Chen moves through trauma 2, reconfiguring equipment placement, positioning the ultrasound within arm's reach, checking IV supplies, counting units of O-negative blood in the warmer. Her hands don't shake. Her breathing stays even. She's done this before. Then the sound comes. Deep, rhythmic, heavy, rotors. Everyone stops, looks up, through the windows. A Black Hawk helicopter descends toward the hospital's rooftop helipad, notor wash flattening the grass on the lawn, shaking the glass in the frames. It's military green, marked with Marine Corps insignia, and it lands with practiced precision. Webb steps outside, confusion written across his face. What the hell is military doing here? The rotors slow but don't stop completely, maintaining idle power. The side door opens and 2 figures step out, both in digital camouflage, both moving with the unmistakable bearing of career military. One of them is a colonel, the other is a gunnery sergeant carrying medical supply cases. They walk straight toward the emergency department entrance, and staff members part without thinking, instinct recognizing authority, even in an unfamiliar form. The colonel's eyes scan the room, land on Chen. He walks directly to her, stops 3 feet away, and salutes. Lieutenant Malik. Chen's breath catches. She doesn't return the salute. I'm not active duty, sir. I know. The colonel lowers his hand. But we were running a training exercise, 15 miles north. Heard the call go out. Heard your voice coordinating response on the emergency frequency. He pauses. Recognized it. Webb's face goes absolutely white. Lieutenant? The colonel doesn't look at him, keeps his attention on Chen. We brought extra supplies, extra hands, 4 combat medics in the bird, whatever you need. Chen stares at him, at the helicopter still idling on the roof, at the gunnery sergeant standing at parade rest with equipment that could save lives. Something in her chest cracks, just slightly. We need triage support and supply runners, she says quietly. Patients are inbound in 8 minutes. The colonel nods once. You heard the lieutenant. Move. The gunnery sergeant snaps to, already heading for the exit to coordinate with Jenna. The colonel keys his radio. Actual to Bird 1. Deploy the medical team to ground level. Coordinate with staff. Take direction from Lieutenant Malik. The response crackles back immediately. Roger, actual. Webb finds his voice, though it's strained. You were a lieutenant? The colonel finally looks at him, and his expression is somewhere between disdain and disbelief. She wasn't just a lieutenant. She was the best combat medic in theater. 2 Bronze Stars, Navy Commendation with Valor. She kept my men alive through things you've never seen in your worst nightmares. He turns back to Chen. We lost track of you after you separated. Some of us have been, and looking. I didn't want to be found, Chen says. I know. His voice softens. But you're still one of ours, Lieutenant. That doesn't stop just because you took off the uniform. Chen's jaw works. She doesn't trust herself to speak. The colonel extends his hand. Good to see you again, Doc. She takes it. They shake once, firm and brief. And there's a lifetime of unspoken understanding in the grip. Then he steps back. We're at your disposal. You run the show. Chen nods, turns to Webb. Trauma 1 ready. Webb nods, speechless. Then let's get to work. The ambulances start arriving 6 minutes later, a continuous stream of sirens and flashing lights. Jenna and the Marine gunnery sergeant work triage together, sorting patients with brutal efficiency, red tags flowing into the trauma bays, yellow tags lining the hallway with nurses monitoring vitals. Chen moves through Trauma 2 like water, hands steady, voice calm, directing her team with commands that are quiet but absolute. A compound fracture gets reduced and splinted. A tension pneumothorax gets decompressed. A woman with internal bleeding gets rushed to surgery. She doesn't stop, doesn't hesitate. Every decision is clean. Every movement is precise. In Trauma 1, Webb struggles to keep pace but manages, and every time he glances through the window at Chen working in Trauma 2, he sees something he didn't understand before. Competence forged in fire. Authority earned in blood. The kind of skill you can't teach in any residency program. The casualties keep coming. Chen keeps working. And somewhere in the chaos, the whispers start spreading through the department. Lieutenant, combat medic, Bronze Stars, Afghanistan. By the time the last patient is stabilized 2 hours later, everyone knows. Chen stands in Trauma 2, peeling off bloodied gloves, and the room is spotless again, reset and ready. Her scrubs are soaked with sweat and other people's blood, but her hands are steady. The colonel appears in the doorway. Last patients en route to OR. You saved 14 lives today, Lieutenant. Chen doesn't look up. We saved them, sir. You led it. She finally meets his eyes. That's what we do. He smiles slightly, salutes again. This time, after a long moment, she returns it. He turns and leaves, and Chen hears the rotors spin up outside. A Black Hawk lifting off and disappearing into the afternoon sky. The department goes quiet. Chen walks to the break room, sits down, and for the first time in 12 years, she doesn't try to hide what she is. The break room is empty when Webb enters at 6:32 p.m. The chaos finally settled, the last patient stable, the department returning to something resembling normal operations. Chen sits alone at the table, hands wrapped around a cup of coffee that's gone cold. Untouched, she doesn't look up when he enters. Webb sits across from her. Silence stretches between them, awkward and heavy with things unsaid. Finally, he speaks. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" Chen's eyes stay on the cup. "Because I didn't want to be that person anymore." "What person?" She's quiet for a long moment, and when she speaks, her voice is so low he has to lean forward to hear it. "The one who couldn't save them all." Webb waits. She continues, words coming slowly, like each one costs something. "I did 2 tours, 16 months total in Helmand Province, attached to a Marine Infantry battalion, doing village stability operations and route clearance." She pauses. "I saved 63 Marines, soldiers, contractors, local nationals." Her hands tighten around the cup. "I lost 17. The number hangs in the air between them. "I remember every name," she says. "Every face. Every time I was too slow, too late, too—" Her voice breaks. Just once. She stops, breathing carefully, and Webb sees her jaw clench, sees the way she's holding herself together through pure force of will. "Corporal Mitchell died because I couldn't get the bleeding stopped fast enough. Lance Corporal Hayes made it to the helicopter but crashed during flight. Private First Class Rodriguez had injuries I didn't catch in the initial assessment, internal bleeding I missed, and he coded 12 hours later." She finally looks up and her eyes are dry but haunted. "I came here because I thought if I slowed down, if I was just another doctor in a normal hospital, maybe I could stop seeing their faces every time I closed my eyes." Webb doesn't know what to say. "But it doesn't work like that," Chen continues, "because every patient becomes one of them. Every time someone comes through those doors bleeding, I'm back there. Every time." "So you hide," Webb says quietly. "So I survive," she corrects. Silence again. Webb leans back, running a hand through his hair. "I called you slow. I know. I treated you like you were incompetent. I know. I'm sorry." Chen nods once. "You didn't know. I should have respected you anyway," Webb says. And there's genuine regret in his voice now. "I should have seen. You saw what I wanted you to see." Chen sets down the cup. "I was hiding, successfully, until today." "Why did you stop hiding?" She looks at him directly. "Because that kid this morning was going to die if I didn't. Because those patients this afternoon needed someone who could move fast and think faster. Because sometimes the right thing to do is the thing you've been running from." Webb absorbs this. "You saved 12 people today. 12. 14 actually," Chen says. "The colonel counted everyone, including the 2 that were circling when we got them stable." 14 then." Webb leans forward. "You understand what that means? In one day, you saved almost as many people as most doctors save in a month." "I know what the numbers are." "Then you know you're wasted hiding in the back, pretending to be something you're not." Chen's expression doesn't change. "I'm exactly what I appear to be, a doctor. That's all I want to be." "That's not all you are, though." "It's all I can afford to be," she says, and there's steel underneath the exhaustion. "If I let myself be that person again, the one who runs toward the explosions instead of away, the one who refuses to accept death even when it's inevitable." She stops. Breathes. "I'll burn out, or I'll break, and I've already come close to both." Webb studies her face, seeing the cracks in the facade for the first time. "How close?" Chen's hand moves to the bracelet on her wrist, fingers tracing the worn paracord. "Close enough that the VA put me on psychiatric watch for 3 months after I separated. Close enough that I didn't leave my apartment for half a year. Close enough that some days I wasn't sure I wanted to keep going." The confession hangs heavy in the small room. "This bracelet," she continues, touching it gently, "has the names of the 17 I lost woven into it. Paracord from their gear, dog tag chains melted down for the clasp. I wear it every day so I don't forget what it costs when I'm not fast enough." Webb's throat tightens. "That's not fair to yourself." "Fair doesn't matter," Chen says. "What matters is that I remember, that I stay sharp, that when it counts, I don't fail again." "You didn't fail them. I didn't save them. That's not the same thing." Chen stands abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor. It is to me. She walks to the window, stares out at the parking lot where ambulances sit idle, waiting for the next emergency. Webb watches her back, the rigid set of her shoulders, the way she's holding herself like she's still in a war zone. What do you want? He asks quietly. Going forward, what do you actually want? Chen doesn't turn around. I want to do the work, save the people I can save, go home at the end of my shift, and sleep without seeing their faces. Does that ever happen? The sleeping without seeing them? No. Then maybe hiding isn't working. She turns to face him. And something in her expression has shifted. Not softened, just opened slightly. What are you suggesting? Webb spreads his hands. I'm suggesting that maybe you're more effective when you're not pretending to be something you're not. Maybe we're all better off when you're allowed to be exactly who you are. A combat medic playing civilian doctor? A combat medic who became a civilian doctor, Webb corrects. Both things, not one or the other. Chen considers this. The silence stretches. Finally, she speaks. I don't know how to be both. Then maybe it's time to figure it out, Webb says. Because after today, everyone knows anyway. The secret's out. You can either keep running from it, or you can decide what you want it to mean. Chen looks down at her wrist again, at the bracelet that's been her anchor and her burden for 12 years. They gave me medals, she says quietly. Bronze stars, commendation medals, certificates and citations and formal letters from commanders thanking me for my service. She looks up. But the only thing I wanted was for all of them to go home alive. That was the only medal that mattered. And I failed 17 times. You succeeded 63 times, Webb counters. It doesn't balance out. Maybe it's not supposed to. Chen stares at him. And for the first time since Santos recognized her in the hallway, something in her chest loosens. Not heals, just stops holding quite so tight. I'll think about it, she says finally. Webb stands. That's all I'm asking. He moves toward the door, then pauses. For what it's worth, Lieutenant Malik, it's an honor to work with you. Chen's breath catches. It's just Chen, she says. No, Webb says quietly. I don't think it is. Not anymore. He leaves. Chen stands alone in the break room, the fluorescent lights humming overhead, the hospital sounds filtering through the door, and she touches the bracelet one more time, whispers 17 names, then walks back to the floor. The morning briefing starts at 7 a.m., 1 week after the mass casualty incident, and the emergency department looks different now. Subtle changes. New protocols posted on the walls in laminated sheets. Triage flowcharts that weren't there before. A restructured crash cart system that puts critical supplies within arm's reach instead of buried in drawers. Chen's work, all of it. Webb stands at the front of the room, 20 staff members assembled in chairs and along the walls, coffee cups in hands, the usual pre-shift exhaustion on their faces. But there's something else there now too. Attention. Before we start, Webb says, I want to address something. He looks directly at Chen, sitting in the back row, hands folded in her lap. Dr. Malik has agreed to lead our new trauma response training program. Effective immediately. If you want to work in this department, you train with her. No exceptions. Silence for half a second. Then, applause. It starts with Jenna, clapping firmly, and spreads through the room. Genuine, respectful. None of the polite obligation that usually accompanies these announcements. Chen nods once, uncomfortable with the attention, but accepting it. Webb continues. The protocols she's implemented have already improved our response times by an average of 4 minutes. 4 minutes that mean the difference between life and death. We're also adopting her triage system as department standard. He glances down at his notes. Additionally, administration has approved funding for quarterly mass casualty drills, which Dr. Malik will design and run. We're not going to be caught unprepared again. More nods around the room. Any questions? A resident raises his hand, young guy Chen recognizes but hasn't worked with directly. Will the training be optional for? Required, Webb says firmly. Myself included, we all have things to learn. The resident nods, satisfied. Webb dismisses the briefing and people filter out toward their assignments, but several approach Chen before she can leave. First is Jenna. She stops in front of Chen, and there's something tentative in her expression, something that looks like shame. I need to say something, Jenna starts. Chen waits. I called you slow. I said you didn't belong here. I questioned how you made it through residency. Jenna's voice is steady but quiet. I was wrong. Completely wrong, and I'm sorry. Chen meets her eyes. You didn't know. I should have respected you anyway, Jenna says, echoing Webb's words from days earlier. Competence doesn't always look like speed. You were being careful, and I mistook that for incompetence. Chen considers this. Apology accepted. Jenna exhales. Thank you. She pauses. Will you teach me? Really teach me? I mean, not just the protocols, but the way you think through cases. We want to learn combat medicine? I want to learn how to save people the way you do, Jenna corrects. Whatever that takes. Chen almost smiles. Okay. Jenna's face lights up. Really? Really. First session is Thursday, 1800 hours in the simulation lab. I'll be there. Jenna leaves, and the young resident approaches next. The one who asked about training requirements. Dr. Malik, I just wanted to say, I was in the department during the NCI last week. I watched you work. He shifts his weight. It was the most impressive thing I've ever seen. The way you moved, the way you prioritized, the way you kept everyone calm. I've never seen anything like it. Chen nods. You'll learn. I hope so. He extends his hand. Thank you for being willing to teach us. She shakes it. He leaves. And two more staff members approach with similar sentiments. Apologies for underestimating her. Requests to learn from her. Respect that wasn't there a week ago, but is concrete and real now. By the time Chen makes it to the locker room, 15 minutes have passed, and her chest feels strange. Not bad, just unfamiliar. She opens her locker, pulls out her stethoscope, and finds a small envelope taped to the inside of the door. No name on it. She opens it carefully. Inside is a handwritten note on hospital letterhead. Dr. Malik, I owe you an apology I should have given years ago. I watched you save my son's life last week. The 12-year-old from the MVC. The one everyone said wouldn't make it. You refused to accept that, and because of you, he's home now. Playing video games and complaining about his stitches. Being a normal kid. I'm a nurse in the ICU. I've worked here for 15 years. I saw you around the hospital and never knew what you were capable of. I'm sorry for that. And I'm grateful beyond words. Thank you for not giving up on him. Respectfully, Catherine Morris, RN. Chen reads it twice, folds it carefully, puts it in her pocket. The weight in her chest shifts again. Still unfamiliar, but lighter now. She closes the locker and heads to the floor. The day proceeds with normal cases. A broken wrist, a kidney stone, an asthma exacerbation. Nothing dramatic. But throughout the shift, Chen notices differences. The way people make space for her in the hallway without her having to ask. The way residents seek her out for teaching moments instead of avoiding her. The way Webb defers to her judgment on a complicated trauma case without hesitation. It's subtle, but it's real. At 1400 hours, Santos appears in the emergency department, walking with his distinctive gait, prosthetic clicking softly. He's carrying a cardboard box. He finds Chen near the nurse's station. Duck. She turns. Santos. He grins. Brought you something. He sets the box on the counter. From the guys. The ones you saved. The ones who are. You still around. Chen stares at the box. You didn't have to. Yeah, we did. She opens it slowly. Inside are letters. Dozens of them. Handwritten on notebook paper. Printed emails. Cards with photos attached. Each one from a Marine or sailor she treated in Afghanistan. Updates on their lives, families they've built, careers they've started, kids who exist because their fathers made it home. There's a photo on top, a GRU shot, 20 men in casual clothes, standing together, holding a banner that reads, "Thank you, Doc, Semper Fi." Chen's throat closes. Santos watches her face. You carry the ones you lost, he says quietly. We wanted you to remember the ones you saved too. She can't speak, just nods. Santos squeezes her shoulder once. We're proud of you, Doc, for everything you did then, and everything you're doing now. He leaves before she can respond. Chen stands there, box in her arms, surrounded by the noise and movement of the emergency department, and she feels something she hasn't felt in 12 years. Not peace, not healing, but the beginning of both. That evening, she stays late, organizing the first training session. She prints protocols, sets up simulation scenarios, prepares equipment. Jenna joins her without being asked, helping arrange the space. "Can I ask you something?" Jenna says while moving mannequins. "Go ahead. Do you still see them? The ones you lost?" Chen stops working, looks at her. "Every day. Does it get easier?" "No," Chen says honestly. "But you learn to carry it differently." Jenna nods slowly. "How?" Chen touches the bracelet on her wrist. "You remember that the weight means something. That it's proof you cared enough for it to hurt. And you use it to make sure you're better next time. Is that what you're doing now? Being better?" Chen considers the question. "I'm trying to be both," she says finally. "The person I was and the person I'm becoming. I don't know if that's possible, but I'm going to find out." Jenna smiles. "I think you're doing pretty well so far." They finish setting up in comfortable silence. And when Chen finally leaves the hospital at 2100 hours, she walks past the memorial wall in the main lobby. Names of staff members who've passed. Lives remembered. She stops, looks at it, and for the first time, she doesn't see only loss. She sees legacy. And next morning, the first training session begins with 12 attendees. By the end of the month, it's mandatory department-wide. By the end of 3 months, other hospitals are asking for her curriculum. And Chen, slowly, carefully, begins to build something new from the pieces of who she used to be. 6 months pass, like water through steady hands. The hospital builds a new wing in the east section, construction finishing in early autumn, when the leaves start turning, and the air gets that particular crispness that makes Chen think of deployments ending and coming home to seasons that still changed while she was gone. She stands on the hospital roof at sunset, same place she used to come when the weight got too heavy, when the memories pressed too close. But it feels different now. The sky bleeds orange and red across the horizon, and below her the city moves with its usual rhythm, oblivious and beautiful in its normalcy. The door behind her opens. She doesn't turn. "Thought I'd find you up here," Wed says, joining her at the railing. They stand in comfortable silence for a moment. "The dedication's tomorrow," he says. "You ready?" "As ready as I'll be. You don't have to give a speech, you know. Administration said they'd handle it if you'd rather not." Chen shakes her head. "No, I should be there." Webb nods. "The kid's coming. A 12-year-old from the MVC. His family wanted to meet you properly." Chen's hand moves to her wrist, touches the bracelet that's still there, but doesn't feel quite as heavy anymore. "What's his name?" "I never actually got it in the chaos." "Michael. Michael Chen, actually. No relation, but his mother thought it was fate when she found out your name." Chen almost smiles. "How's he doing?" "Running track at school, complaining about homework. Being exactly what a 12-year-old should be." Webb pauses. "Because of you." "Because of all of us," Chen corrects quietly. "You led it. We finished it together. That's what matters." Webb accepts this. They watch the sunset deepen. Shadows lengthening across the parking lot, where ambulances sit ready, where the emergency department continues its endless cycle of crisis and resolution. "I got the numbers from administration," Webb says. "Since you implemented the new protocols and started the training program, our mortality rate is down 18%. 18%, Chen. Do you understand what that means? It means people are going home who wouldn't have before. It means you're saving lives even when you're not in the room." Chen absorbs this. That's the point, isn't it? To build something that lasts beyond any one person. Is that why you stayed, instead of disappearing again? She considers the question. "I stayed because running wasn't working anymore. Because hiding who I was meant hiding the parts that could help people. And because," she starts again. "Because the ones I lost deserved better than me spending the rest of my life being half of what I could be." Webb doesn't respond immediately. Then, quietly, "I think they'd be proud of you." Chen's throat tightens. "I hope so." Her phone buzzes in her pocket. She pulls it out, glances at the screen, and her expression softens in a way Webb's never seen before. "Santos?" he asks. She nods. Shows him the message. It's a photo. The kid from the MVC, Michael, standing on a track field in running gear, holding a medal, grinning at the camera. The text below reads, "First place in the 800 meters. Thought you'd want to know. His mom says to tell you thank you, again, always." Webb reads it. "You gonna reply?" Chen types quickly. "Tell him I'm proud. And tell his mother he did the hard part. I just gave him the chance." She sends it, pockets the phone. You ever hear from the others? Webb asks. The Marines from your unit? Sometimes. Santos keeps me updated. There's a reunion next year. They asked if I'd come. Will you? Chen's quiet for a long moment. Maybe. I don't know if I'm ready for that yet. You've got time to decide. Yeah. They stand together as the sun finally drops below the horizon, the sky fading from orange to purple to deep blue. What's next for you? Webb asks. After tomorrow, after the dedication. What do you want? Chen turns to face him. I want to keep teaching, keep building the program, maybe expand it to other hospitals if they're interested. She pauses. And I want to keep working the floor. I'm not ready to be just an administrator or instructor. I need to still be in it. The work. The work, she agrees. Webb nods. Then that's what we'll do. He heads back inside, leaving her alone with the darkening sky. Chen pulls out her phone again, scrolls to a different conversation thread, one she hasn't opened in weeks. Messages from the VA counselor she sees once a month, checking in, making sure she's staying stable. She types, doing okay, better than okay, actually. Thank you for not giving up on me. Sends it. Below, the emergency department lights glow warm against the gathering darkness. She watches for another minute, then heads inside. The next morning arrives clear and cold. The dedication ceremony is scheduled for 10 a.m. in the new wing, and by the time Chen arrives, there's already a crowd: hospital staff, administration, local press, and families. She recognizes Michael and his parents standing near the front, the kid looking healthy and strong, nothing like the broken body on the gurney 6 months ago. Santos is there too, in a suit that looks uncomfortable on him, standing with 3 other men Chen recognizes immediately. Marines from her unit, older now, civilian clothes, but carrying themselves the way they always will. They see her, come to attention. She shakes her head slightly, smiling. They grin and relax, but the respect doesn't leave their eyes. The hospital CEO steps to the microphone, gives a speech about innovation and excellence and community service. Then he gestures to the wall behind him, covered in a white sheet. It gives me great honor to dedicate this new trauma training center, made possible by the vision and expertise of Dr. Sarah Malik. He pulls the sheet away. The plaque reads, Combat Medicine Training Center, in honor of those who served twice. Chen's breath catches. Not her name, just the mission. The CEO continues. Dr. Malik brought skills honed in the most difficult circumstances imaginable, and chose to use them not for recognition, but for service. This center will train hundreds of medical professionals in techniques that save lives. Her legacy will echo through every person who learns here. He turns to her. Dr. Malik, would you like to say a few words? Chen steps forward, hands steady, and faces the crowd. She sees Webb, Jenna, the residents who've trained under her. She sees Santos and the Marines, pride written across their faces. She sees Michael, alive and whole. And she sees, in her mind, the 17 faces she carries. I'm not good at speeches, she starts. I'm better at doing than talking. But I'll say this. She pauses, choosing words carefully. Everything I know, I learned from people who trusted me with their lives in the worst moments they'd ever face. Some of them made it home. Some of them didn't. But all of them taught me that competence matters, that showing up matters, that refusing to give up, even when everything says you should, matters most of all. Her hand touches the bracelet. This center isn't about me, it's about them. Every Marine who let me learn on them, every patient who gave me a chance to get it right, every person in this room who chooses every single day to be better than they were yesterday. She looks directly at the medical staff. We have the hardest job in the world. We hold people's lives in our hands, and we don't get to give up when it's difficult or painful or when we fail despite doing everything right. We carry those failures forever. But we also get to carry the successes. The ones who walk out, the ones who go home, the ones who get second chances. Her voice strengthens. So this center is for all of us. The ones who serve once, and the ones who serve twice, and the ones who'll keep serving until they can't anymore. Because that's what we do. We show up, we do the work, and we save who we can save. She steps back. The applause is thunderous. Michael's mother is crying. Santos salutes her one more time, and Chen feels something she hasn't felt in 12 years settle into place in her chest. Not the absence of pain, but the presence of purpose. After the ceremony, she finds a quiet corner, pulls out her phone, and opens the photos Santos sent months ago. The group shot of the Marines with their banner. She saves it as her phone background. Then she opens her notes app and writes 17 names. Corporal Mitchell, Lance Corporal Hayes, Private First Class Rodriguez. 14 more that live in the paracord on her wrist. Below them, she writes, I'm still here, still fighting, still serving. Hope I'm making you proud. She closes the app, takes a breath, and walks back into the crowd where Wed is waiting to introduce her to a delegation from 3 other hospitals who want to implement her program. The work continues. It always does. But now, finally, she's not running from it anymore. She's running toward it. And that makes all the difference.